Welcome to this week's episode of Jet Lag in the News. I'm Steve Jasper, aka the Jet Lag Guy. In the United States, the proposed plan to force incoming visitors to disclose their social media histories for the last 5 years has been met with strong disapproval by the business travel community. 85% of corporate travel professionals oppose the proposal, and only 2.5% of corporate travel professionals support the proposed rule. Melbourne is now the biggest city for business travel for Southeast Asian business travellers, overtaking Sydney, Brisbane, and the Gold Coast. Melbourne and Sydney are the leading centres of business travel for Southeast Asian business travellers, mostly due to their much larger size than other Australian cities. Ryanair CEO Michael O'Leary is calling for alcohol limits in airports, and there is talk of banning drunken passengers for life. In an interview with The Times, Mr. O'Leary said, quote, "I fail to understand why anybody in airport bars is serving people at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Who needs to be drinking beer at that time?" Well, it certainly doesn't help with jet lag, and definitely not with cognitive function. The new EES system in Europe is causing delays for travellers to and within the European Union, with delays of up to 6 hours for travellers. The International Air Transport Association's Regional Vice President for Europe, Raphael Schwarzman, said, quote, "We are already seeing delays and missed connections in Portugal, Spain, Italy, Greece, Belgium, and elsewhere." Yet another melatonin contamination scandal has arisen. This number of Jelly Pills food supplement gummies found to contain melatonin, which is only available on prescription in Ireland. A new form of fraud called quishing has emerged, a blend of QR codes and phishing. These QR codes can look harmless, and we use them for bus timetables, hotel reservations, etc. But these new QR codes can open the door to data fraud. Always check the URL of any QR codes you scan. And now over to some research. Positively terrifying but not surprising news out of France. In a study of, quote, 7,117 operations performed by 38 surgeons, patients operated on by surgeons with social jet lag of 2 hours or more in the month preceding surgery had a significantly higher risk of major adverse events. This association was independent of surgeon sleep duration, total working hours, and night shift frequency. Surgeons, like the rest of us, need adequate sleep to perform at their best. Scientists have discovered a genetic clock that acts as the master timekeeper of the circadian rhythm in a species of worm. When this clock is disrupted, development stops, offering fresh clues about how growth-related disorders may arise and further insights into the circadian rhythm. And now over to sport. Lots of FIFA World Cup news this week. Especially prepared to meet the athlete's need, with catering and maximised cabin comfort. This was to ensure the athlete's optimal recovery and to minimise the impact of jet lag. The South African football team flying to Mexico City were delayed by visa issues that affected at least 20 members of the delegation awaiting visas from the US Embassy. The flight was delayed one day, and this has drawn criticism from South African officials. Ahead of the FIFA World Cup, Sweden's national football team has landed in Dallas with orders to stay awake on the plane for the entire flight by blaring ABBA into the plane. Okay, I may have made that last part up. But the Swedish football team is staying awake on the plane, with performance manager Niklas Engnell orchestrating, quote, "a detailed sleep strategy to combat jet lag and optimise player performance," before their first match against Tunisia on the 15th of June. You might be aware I've written a book called End Jet Lag, which is all about ending jet lag. My book explains in detail the science behind jet lag and, more importantly, simple, cost-effective, evidence-based strategies for overcoming jet lag. And don't worry if you don't want to wade through the whole book. I put a summary at the end of each chapter to quickly give you the main points. And if you're really pressed for time, I've got one big summary at the end that tells you everything. As far as scientific jargon goes, forget it. Every scientific term I've used is explained in a glossary at the end of the book. Check out the link below or use the QR code on the screen, and I promise you I'm not quishing. And finally, back to Sweden and back to Spirit Airlines pilot. Which museum to visit other than the Vasa Museum, built around a boat that was sunk in Stockholm harbour and recovered 300 years later, or the Abbey Museum? If you're feeling a bit tired due to jet lag, my vote is with the Abbey Museum to reinvigorate you. I may be slightly biased. If you have any questions or want to know more about what I do, check out my website at www.jetlagguide.com.au. And that's the news. I'm Steve Jasper, aka the Jet Lag Guy. Thank you for watching.